Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Happy Wednesday to everyone. Hope you all had a nice Tuesday night. Well, actually, let me rephrase. I hope you had a better Tuesday night than I did, because holy shit. I haven't had, that might have been my worst MLB day of the season. I would have to go and check. I went 0-5-1, and I was lucky to get the push, man. And it wasn't even bad beats. A couple of them, they were just so blatantly the wrong side. Frustrating. But as a whole, it's been a great season. So I'm not going to sit here, get in my feelings about it, publicly at least. So yeah, let's bounce back. We got there's actually 17 games on. 2 of them are obviously have already started. We got Greg here, who was with us last Wednesday. We're going to go through 13 games. Greg, I don't know how you guys do it. We're not big on doubleheaders. We usually just skip them. That's how we do it here. I've lost too many bets on the unpredictable bullpen management and just some of the bullshit that goes on in these doubleheaders that I just, unless the doubleheader is the only games on, I'm most likely going to skip them. So that's how we usually do it.
Yeah, just because you had asked me, for a lot of the DFS slates I cover, typically those are left off the slates, so I don't even cover them from that perspective. But I'm with you from betting, because you don't even know what the lineups are going to be like most of the time, because the games will go back to back. You could bet on a team, be like, oh, they're resting half their lineup. So there's a lot of uncertainty there.
Well, then you have to pay attention to, are they playing the next day? Or is it a divisional series? Does it matter? There's so many things that could go into that as well. So
a lot of moving pieces. So
yeah.
Let's go ahead and get started with Cubs, Baltimore, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to hate my bet here. I did play the Cubs on the money line. Lost CLV, though. I got it at plus 146. I think you could even get plus 160s right now if you shop around. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's definitely plus 155. You could definitely get that out there. You know what? Why don't, instead of speculating, why don't I just pull it up? So it looks like, plus 158 I see on Caesars, plus 160 on Bet3. You can get a plus 160 on Bet365 right now. So, look, I lost CLV on it. Clearly, there's a lot of risk involved in this bet. We're talking about a plus 150 dog. We're talking about fading the Baltimore Orioles at home coming off a loss. Definitely a lot of risk involved here. But the truth is, we're looking at Imanaga versus Corbin Burnes. And if you take into account I think we all agree that Corbin Burnes is the better starting pitcher than Imanaga. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. But if you take into account the particular matchups involved here, I think this battle is pretty even in the first 5. In fact, might even slightly be leaning towards the Cubs. Baltimore as a whole hasn't really gotten to lefty starters. They got to a couple in there. You know what? I probably should have pulled it up and have it in front of me. But as a whole, they're not getting to lefty starters. Imanaga's numbers as of late don't look great, but they're skewed by a couple really ugly starts. Grimace absolutely crushed him. The Brewers crushed him as well. So if you look at his numbers over his last 7 starts, it doesn't look that great, but 2 starts are just really skewing them badly. I think Imanaga's pretty dominant. So against Baltimore, that's not getting to lefty starters right now. I think Imanaga can pitch great here. And on the other side, look, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that Corbin Burnes can't be relied on. At home, he's been so good this year. One of the best starting pitchers in the AL. But this Cubs lineup is starting to wake up against righties. They're not getting blanked by righties at all. They're getting 2 or 3 runs across regardless of who they're seeing. And weirdly, Corbin Burnes has had trouble beating the Cubs. It's not that his numbers are bad, but his last 4 starts against the Cubs, he's 0-3.
You can keep going back. His team hasn't beat the Cubs in his last 5 starts. I feel like you're reading my notes.
Oh yeah. So I cut it off at 4. So yeah. 5 straight losses against the Cubs for Corbin Burnes, and the current Cubs batters actually have solid lifetime numbers against Corbin Burnes. They've hit off him. So a plus 154, how do we not take the shot? But this is one of my lighter bets. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, Cubbies are winning. I'm not, none of that. It's a lighter bet, but I think it's worth a shot at the price.
I'll just follow you really quickly because I'm on the same thing. I was leaning the Cubs yesterday. I'm mad that I didn't pull the trigger on the Cubs yesterday. And I'm going to pull the trigger on him today. A couple things about
shouldn't be bad. You're getting a better number now.
I know, but it was an easy winner yesterday, and I did.
Oh, you mean yesterday's game? I thought you were saying you're mad you didn't bet this game yesterday.
Oh yeah, sorry. Unlike I understand, this isn't like me thinking that Corbin Burns and trying to think that the Cubs are going to get to Corbin Burns, but we've seen this total now drop from 9 to 8.5. So maybe runs come at a premium today. Not to mention the fact that in the last 2 years, I mean, the Cubs are one of these teams that have seen Corbin Burns because they played in the same division as him. So I think that helps a lot. Kyle touched on that. Have some of the guys have some good recent history against him. And are the Cubs bats starting to gain maybe just a little bit of momentum? 5 runs or more in 4 of their last 5 games. I know that's super thin, and I know that Imanaga hasn't been great. But like Kyle touched on, over the last 7 lefty starters that Baltimore's faced, they've only got to 2, and that was Logan Allen and Max Fried. Kikuchi, Ranger Suarez, Nestor Cortez, Framber, and Andrew Heaney all pitched pretty damn well against this team. So I do think this is one of the biggest starts in Imanaga's career. Obviously, he's been a very, very young career right now, but I think that he pitches well here today. I don't think that either team is going to get a huge lead here. I think this is more of a coin flip. And what sold me at the end is that I know this is going to be weird to say, but the Cubs bullpen over the last 14 days hasn't really been that terrible. And over the last 30 days, they're like middle of the pack. So if they can just perform at that level, I think this game is more of a coin flip, and I'm getting like plus 150 on my money. So yes, I did bet the Cubs.
Greg,
and Kyle and I didn't talk about that.
I like the under. I know it's 9 at some books. It's plus money, under 8.5 over at FanDuel. I do think that going forward, Imanaga is going to regress a little bit. I believe he was starting also when I was on the show last week on the same day. So as far as Imanaga goes, like, I don't think he's going to be as good as he was at the start of the year, but he also had a sub 2 ERA for a very long time. So as long as he's a pitcher who's going to be like solidly above average, which I think is going to be the case, then Corbin Burns has been one of the top 5 or so pitchers in all of baseball this year. I think these are 2 really good pitchers for a total to be this high and be plus money on the under.
Agreed. Yeah, and this was at 9 yesterday, so it dropped a half. On market likes the under as well. I would lean towards under too.
And congratulations on your 50K, Greg.
Oh shit, yeah, I heard about
Thank
that. Which golf tournament was that?
It was the John Deere over the weekend. So I won a DraftKings tournament, came in first for 50K. Not a bad weekend. And for anybody who's watching, we do have a sale going on over at Stochastic. So if you want to sign up for any of the tools, any of the packages we have, if you use the promo code Greg, get yourself 25% off. But yeah, won 50K over the weekend. It was a good hit.
In the John Deere Classic.
Yeah.
I'll never look at that tournament again the same.
I had Glover in the top 20. He was hanging around. I don't know if I actually finished in the top 20. I'll have to check. But all right, Cleveland on the road in Detroit is next. I do have a bet on this game, but I don't want to go first because my bet yesterday in this one was so off. The final score was what, 9-8? I had the under 8.5, and I kind of liked it. It's like it wasn't even close. So someone else want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I'll go. Over 7.5 for me. We're getting really good weather in Comerica Park. I understand it's only like 65, 70 degrees, but we're getting 16 mile an hour winds blowing out. Tigers also have had a lot of success against Bibee in his career, 12 innings, 11 runs against him. Olsen himself hasn't really looked great in his last few starts at home against decent lineups either. I know that he looked good against Cleveland on the road at the beginning of the year, but I think that Cleveland puts a few runs on the board as well. I just feel like the history of these 2 starters against these opposing lineups induces a little bit of runs. You add the weather in that at 7.5. I played the over.
Cool.
I like the Guardians money line. I'm like, Reese Olson's pitched well this year. I'm pretty skeptical it's real. Even the underlying numbers look pretty good for him. Last year, he had a 3.99 ERA, but a 4.73 expected ERA. If you guys ever look at the minor league numbers for Reese Olson, they were shit. He was terrible in the minor leagues. I mean, last year, 6.3 at ERA, 4.75 FIP in AAA. The year before in AA, he had a 4.14 ERA. The year before in 2021 in AA, 4.74 ERA. The guy pretty regularly had ERAs in the mid-4s in the minor league. So I don't have a ton to point to in his 17 starts this year to say that he hasn't been all that good. But amongst the offense in this game, certainly think the Guardians have better offense than the Tigers. And Bibee, I think, is the better overall pitcher than Reese Olson. And then when you look at how tight the money line is in this game, I like the Guardian side.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I expect Olsen to get hit up here, and like Toast mentioned, I mean, like both these guys mentioned, he does have some nice looking numbers this year, but you can definitely poke holes in it. Like they were saying, if you look at Reese Olsen's last 3 starts at home, 2 of them were terrible. 1 was good. If you take a little closer look at the pattern there, the 2 that were terrible were against lineups that got lefties in it. He pitched great against the White Sox, a lineup that has a bunch of righties in it, which brings me to his righty-lefty splits. 306 WOBA, 130 whip against lefties, definitely worse than his numbers against righties. Cleveland is the most lefty-heavy lineup in baseball. There's going to be 8 of them in there, and maybe that game yesterday against Kenta Maeda snapped Cleveland out of their little slump against righty starters. We knew that wasn't going to last anyway. Me and Toast paid the price of trying to ride that wave one more time. But yeah, they crushed Kenta Maeda. And now that they got to Maeda, I mean, there was a little stretch where they were struggling to get to righty starters. But as a whole, a righty starter on the road, not the road, a righty starter against Cleveland has been pretty nightmarish. They've been consistently for most of the year. So I expect them to get to Olsen. And on the other side, look, I don't know if Tanner Bybee is necessarily as good as his numbers show, but I like him. This Detroit lineup is not a lineup I trust. I'm down to fade Tanner Bybee if I'm getting a lineup full of lefty bats. Tigers got a couple lefties in there, but nothing that really scares me. So the way I played it is Cleveland first 5. I laid the half run. I got it at plus 100 last night. I'm a little worried about the Cleveland bullpen. It's a bit on the tax side. I still would go with Greg, though. Cleveland full game as well. But I thought here at plus 100 was the better bet for me. But I agree. I think Cleveland wins.
Yeah, I guess I figured you were going to touch on that too. I forgot. Cleveland's bullpen: Clase 3 of the last 4 days, Gaddis 3 of the last 4 days, Scott Barlow 3 of the last 4 days, Cade Smith 2 of the last 3 days, Nick Sandlin back-to-back days, and then Detroit 3 of their top 4 guys went 20 pitches or more yesterday. So that's another reason why I like my over.
Do you want to know why? Because normally I would see something like that, and what part of what I would say here is, guys, maybe look at the Tigers live. Want to know why I'm not saying that? Because I don't think any team has managed a tax bullpen better than Cleveland this year. They've won so many games where we look at it, we're like, we should stay away from this team. The bullpen's taxed. They still find a way to get through those late innings. So whoever the manager is, or whoever manages the bullpen, I should say, 2 thumbs up for me. They've done a great job. Next game. Seattle, San Diego. I like my bet in this one.
I don't understand it.
What do you mean?
I mean, I don't understand it.
I mean, Michael King's severely overvalued. That's why. Okay. I
guess that's yeah.
All right. So you're on the Padres then?
I am.
All right. Go ahead, Toast. Spear your shit.
I got I can put my foot in my mouth yesterday. It is what it is. Missouri clearly isn't ready. I thought that he would be able to pitch well against this Seattle lineup. And I thought they would continue to struggle. They didn't. Good for them. Julio goes off. Cal Raleigh hits 2 home runs from either side of the plate. Good job for the world. Tonight, it's a completely different situation. I truly believe that with King on the mound. If there's one thing that we know, what does Seattle struggle with? It's breaking balls. Clearly, Missouri had no issues throwing any type of breaking balls yesterday. The only thing that he could even try to throw yesterday was his curveball, and that was getting just throttled because they could sit on it. So I really think that Michael King could pitch really, really well here tonight. And he's been pitching fantastic over his last 7 starts. He had 1 blip in Milwaukee against Milwaukee at home. And besides that, he's been absolutely fantastic. I'm not even going to go through it. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this show, you know he's been good. Bryce Miller on the Mariners side, that's where we start to find our issues for me. I love Bryce Miller. He's one of my favorite pitchers on Seattle. I think that he's better. I think that he's one of the more talented arms. I would take him over Castillo. I'd really, really like Bryce Miller. This isn't me just trying to fade the Mariners, but I will say that his ERA on the road compared to at home, over 6 on the road, it's at 2 at home. If the Padres bats are dead, so be it. I mean, they haven't had an at-bat with a runner in scoring position in the last 2 days. If they're going to continue to play that bad, so be it. But this is a very good situation for the Padres bats to get back into things right here. Also, the Padres bullpen has been a mess the last couple of weeks. Why? Because they've been worked so hard. They've been one of the worst bullpens in the last couple of weeks. All those guys have had whatever, last month. Okay, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so it is what it is. Regardless, they've been overworked, and that's why they've been pitching bad. All of those guys have had 3 or 4 days off prior to this, so you're going to have King and then the top arms in the Padres bullpen. So Mariners have divisional game against, I think, the Angels tomorrow, and the Padres have another day off. The Padres need this win. I bet the Padres.
First of all, so my bet is not necessarily. You can get rid of the picture now. Point made. My point. My bet is
have a picture from my guaranteed bet that you laughed at too later.
I don't even remember it. I only remember the funny ones.
Exactly.
Put up my bet, prop Everts. Mariners team total over 3.5. And Toast really downplayed the struggles of the Padres bullpen. Oh, it's just because they're overworked. Man, in the last 30 days, this is the worst home bullpen in baseball. Dead last in ERA, 29th in WOBA. Last 14 days, worst. Last 30 days overall, not just at home, 28th in ERA, 29th in WOBA. This bullpen absolutely sucks. We're getting a team total at 3.5. And honestly, I feel like the market doesn't respect this Mariners team. I mean, in the video I uploaded last night, I gave out this bet, and I said I like the Mariners to win, but I'm scared of Bryce Miller making a road start here, so go Mariners team total over. And one of the comments was like, this guy is taking the Mariners to win 2 in a row? Like, dude, they're in first place. For some reason, I feel like the market doesn't think the Mariners are a good team. Yeah, they're not one of the best teams in the league or anything, but the Mariners are a solid baseball team.
They're winning their division, and they've been at the top.
Right.
Of the
I don't understand why everyone. I feel like everyone has the Mariners regarded as this bad team,
know.
and I don't really get it. So I'm getting super low total, 3.5, minus 105. So good price on it. Look, Michael King has been good, but struggles against lefty bats. 322 WOBA, 143 WHIP. Mariners are going to be loaded up with lefties, and basically, the way I see it, I only need 2 runs off of Michael King from the Mariners, and I'll be good here because the Mariners should be able to score a couple on the Padres bullpen. I actually think they're going to hit Michael King up. I think the Mariners bats woke up a little bit yesterday, so I actually think they're going to hit Michael King up here. But even if they don't, give me 1 or 2, and we're still live with this bet against the bullpen. I would love to take the Mariners money line at the plus money, but Bryce Miller making a road start in San Diego is absolutely terrifying. So that's why I wouldn't even argue with Toast bet of the Padres money line. I took Mariners team total over. I don't even hate the over 7.5 here either. Greg?
I'm not going to get in the way of your guys' lovers quarrel here. You guys are each on one side of the game, and I got nothing. If I had to play something, I think over under 7.5 strikeouts for Michael King. I know the Mariners strike out a ton. That's a really high line, though. So if I had to take a side, I would lean towards the under, but I'm not betting it, and it's a pass on the game for me.
Mariners runs incoming. Watch it happen.
Don't ever let our spats worry about your bet. We're going to do this on a daily basis for years to come.
I mean, Toast needs to be put in his place from time to time. Yankees, Rays, and I wish I bet this last night. If you watched the video I uploaded last night, when I made the video, this was a pick 'em. And I said, I went through the game, did my handicap, and at the end of it, I was like, guys, I don't know how we don't take the Rays here at minus 110. I'm not taking it because I'm a little sketched out at the price. Now we're looking at minus 130. He's like, well, shit.
It's crazy.
Well, shit, maybe I should have trusted my judgment. So you could put Rays money line up, but now that it's at minus 130, it's a pass. But I mean, I don't know how. Look, we know the Yankees are a good team, but I based on what we've seen recently, I don't know how you could bet them here. The Rays lineup has been better. They have the huge starting pitching advantage. Eflin at home. Marcus Stroman's really been struggling. He can't stop walking guys. I don't know how. What's the argument for a Yankees bet here? I don't even know. So it would only be Rays.
You could say that Stroman's been a little bit better on the road this year than at home.
Rays are thin.
I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to go with the show. You could say that he pitched 9 innings, a 9 innings, 1-hit shutout against the Rays last year. I mean, I don't really.
Did you look at his 2 starts against the Rays before
I'm
that?
It's thin. Yeah. Greg, do you have anything? I don't have anything.
I like over 8 runs. It's another one where I think the line is fairly low. Marcus Stroman, you mentioned it already, Kyle. He has not pitched all that well as of late. He's also a pitcher who he's regressed a ton the last couple of years. When Marcus Stroman first came up into the big leagues, he was never somebody who was a high strikeout pitcher or anything like that, but he had an elite ground ball rate that really helped him minimize a lot of the damage, even though he allowed some traffic on the bases because of the amount of contact he allowed. There's so many issues with him across his stats when you look at them. Ground ball rate, career low. His strikeout rate, even though it's never been high for his career, it's even lower than his career norms this year. A 17.8% strikeout rate for Marcus Stroman. That's close to the lowest we've ever seen out of him. And then on top of that, his velocity is way down. He's a guy whose average fastball velocity for his career is 93.6 miles per hour. This year, it's 90.6, nearly 2 miles per hour lower than the second slowest it's ever been. So there's all kind of red flags with Marcus Stroman. He's also 33 years old. He's probably just old and doesn't have the same arm talent. And then I like the Yankees offense to the point where I think they should be able to score against any kind of mediocre type pitcher like Zach Eflin. So 8 runs is pretty low total. I like the over.
Yeah, I like the over as well, by the way. But
I wanted to play Aaron Judge total bases, but his home runs at plus 190.
That's so crazy, dude.
It was plus 135 a couple days ago on DK.
What?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
All right, next game. And by the way, I believe next game is Phillies-Dodgers. Yeah, Phillies-Dodgers. Same thing happened in this one. If you watched the video last night, I was like, guys, it would only be Phillies for me here. Still deciding if I want to place this bet. When I said that, it was minus 125. It's now minus 150. So another one where if I just trusted my judgment, I'd be holding 20, 25 cents of value. Let this be a lesson. Trust your judgment, man, when you do the work. But no, I didn't bet it. The reason I'm a little hesitant to back the Phillies here, and by the way, it would only be Phillies. So you can put Phillies money line up. By no means am I saying I like the Dodgers here at all. It would only be Phillies for me. But the reason I'm a little hesitant is Christopher Sanchez's numbers at home are so untouchable. I do question the quality of opponents he's pitched against in those home starts. Not that it's absolutely terrible, but it's certainly not the Dodgers. So, I mean, the Dodgers, if you rewind back a month and a half ago, they haven't seen a bunch of lefty pitching at all. I don't think they've seen any since like June 24th, I believe, was the last lefty they saw, something like that. But when they were seeing lefty starters, they were crushing them. But it's been 2-3 weeks, so I don't really know what to think about Dodgers against Christopher Sanchez at home where he's been so dominant. So it would only be Phillies, just based with these two guys back in the lineup. Clearly, they've outproduced the Dodgers this year, but especially now, I was hesitant to play it at minus 125. So now that it's like minus 145, minus 150 now. So definitely way out of my price range.
Greg, go ahead.
It's a pass for me. There's nothing that's standing out to me on this one.
Dodgers money line for me at plus. I got it at plus 120. It's at plus 124, 125 now. This one's pretty simple for me. Is Gavin Stone the real deal? If you think yes, then you can bet the Dodgers. If not, you can bet the Phillies. I feel like this is a very similar spot that Imanaga's in. I think this is a huge start for Gavin Stone and probably one of the biggest starts in his career. Not in the fact that I understand that the Phillies went off last night, but they really haven't been getting to righty starters the last couple of weeks.
They were missing those two guys for a week and a half.
I understand that, but we're also getting Gavin Stone. So if they put up another 10 runs, it is what it is. I'm not too worried about it. And yes, Christopher Sanchez has been fantastic at home. He doesn't give it up any home runs. He's got a high ground ball weight, all that stuff. I honestly think this is going to be a low scoring game. And at the end of the game, I'm going to take those Dodgers bats. I understand that they had a whole bunch of guys on yesterday and didn't score. I just don't think that happens today. I know that everybody in the world's betting the Phillies. I personally am going to back my guy, Gavin Stone, and a rested Dodgers bullpen and see what I got at plus 120. So I understand everybody else is going to be on the Phillies. I'm more than happy with that. I'm okay with that.
I think, well, you said, is Gavin Stone the real deal or not? I think someone could be the real deal and still get hit up in Philly by the best team in the NL.
I agree, but his last 4 road starts at the Mets, Yankees, Colorado, and White Sox have all been fantastic.
Yeah, he's been great on the road. He's been great on the road.
One time that he faced the Phillies last year, they absolutely throttled him. So I think this is probably a big, huge game for him. He has this game circled, as we like to say. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It is what it is. But I'm more than happy to get my the Dodgers at plus 120.
All right. I mean, I didn't bet Phillies, so it's not that. I wish you luck. How about that?
Yeah.
Next game.
I mean, hey, I'm seeing a lot of 5-unit bangers on the Phillies today. So
5-unit bangers?
Yeah, I'm seeing them.
I love me a good 5-unit banger. Oakland at Boston, and I have a bet here, and I don't like it. Does anyone else want to go first? I don't like my bet.
Mine's the same thing as yesterday. Oakland first 5 team total over 1.5. You're going to keep on hanging out that little tiny line to me. I'm going to pay it. I'm going to drink the juice. We cashed in the first inning yesterday. No sweat. There's no reason for me to believe that I don't hit again today. So Oakland first 5 team total over 1.5. With the weather and the ballpark, I don't really trust Pavetta at home in general. 1.5 is just too small.
I disagree with that. But Greg, you want to go?
I'm really curious to know what bet it is that you have that you don't like. Total super, super high in this game. And I know they had a really high scoring game yesterday. I think it's influencing the line a little bit because the Oakland A's, for them to be in almost any game that has a total of 10.5, especially Nick Pivetta has not been bad this year. This is an incredibly high line for me. If this is one of these games where Pivetta comes out and pitches well, which we've seen a lot of this year, his numbers overall for the year are not spectacular, but they're solid. 4.06 ERA, 3.82 expected ERA. He's generating a ton of strikeouts this year, 28.1% strikeout rate. Last year was at 31.2%. Yeah, I like the under 10.5 just because I think that number, it's such a high number.
I got it at 9.5 though, at minus 102 last night. So I lost value, which is adding to the. Okay, so I agree. I think Pivetta is going to deal. So I'm with you in what you just said. Pivetta had one shaky stretch, 4 shaky starts in a row, right? And that's why me and Toast were like, let's fade Pivetta on July 4th against the Marlins. He was almost untouchable. 7 shutout innings, just 3 base runners. And there's a pattern forming here. Nick Pivetta against bottom 10 lineups versus righties. Unreal numbers. When he's seen bad lineups, he's been dominant. And Oakland on the road is a bad lineup. I don't care if they've been hitting a little bit as of late. I like Pivetta to deal today. Now, the other side, it's tough. JP Sears on the road in Fenway. This is so thin. In the last 14 days, Boston's the worst lineup in baseball against left-handed pitching. Huge caveat here. They've only seen 2 lefties in that span, and they actually got to one of them. So, just to keep in mind that yes, in the last 14 days, they're the worst lineup in baseball against left-handed pitching. Only seen, it's mostly against lefty bullpen arms, super small sample size. But JP Sears' numbers are a little skewed by a couple really bad starts. I believe he pitched against the Twins, I think.
I was just going to say, look at his road starts, though. On the road at Atlanta, San Diego, Minnesota, Arizona. I mean, it's not like he's playing shitty opponents. He's playing really good opponents. And he also went 5 innings, 2 hits last year in Boston.
Yeah, I think JP Sears can give us a quality start. And if he gives us a quality start, there's no way this number should get up over 9.5, 10. So I'm on the under as well. I lost value on it, and I don't know. I was looking this morning and starting to get scared that JP Sears is going to get crushed. But I'm in. I bet this. Under up.
It's also the fact that it's 80 degrees with 12-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. I mean, it's going to...
Is that what it's going to do?
It could.
Deep dive at analytics right there.
Fart.
This is the sound a baseball makes. All right, Washington on the road in Citi Field. Grimace. Toast, do you like my bet in this one?
I don't remember which yours is.
So you don't even pay attention to my content?
Not usually. Just depends on the day. No, Nationals team total over 3.5. Yes, I know what your bet is. I like it. I played the over.
Oh, okay. So I like the Nets to get to Severino here. That's my angle. I'm not mad at Toast playing the over at 9.5 either. But I thought the better bet was Nats team total over 3.5. I did pay minus 120 for it. Judging by the graphic, it looks like that's where it's still at, unless Andy just put what let me see if it's still there. Because I bet this last night. I don't think I've even looked at it to see if it's still there. So hold on. I don't want to give out a bad line here. Mets, Nats. Where the heck is Mets, Nats? There it is. Mets, Nats.
You got good CLV. I see 145s popping up.
Oh, nice. Okay, so, well, good for me. Bad if you're looking to tail and haven't gotten it yet. Apparently this line is gone, so sorry about that. But I like the Nats to score runs here. Yeah, minus 135 on ESPN bet. So not too bad. So Severino's been pretty good. The Nationals just saw him about a month ago, and he pitched really well. But really what I like here is the Nats have gotten to 4 of the last 5 righty starters they've seen, and they're starting to heat up against righties. In fact, in the last 14 days, they're one of the best lineups in baseball against right-handed pitching. Check this out. I'll pull it up. Luis Severino. Okay, so the Nats against righties in the last 14 days, 8th in WRC plus, 8th in OPS. In the last 7 days, 2nd and 2nd. The righty starters, they got to Kyle Gibson. They crushed Lance Lynn. Got to Sonny Gray. Got to Christian Scott. 4 of the last 5 righties to pitch against the Nats, they've gotten to. Severino, like I said, they just saw him. Also, I feel like Severino might be slowly trending in the wrong direction here. He's got great numbers on the season. I mean, he really looked bad against the Pirates in his last start. He also got rocked by the Rangers a few starts back. I don't like how Severino has shaky splits against lefty bats, and the Nats are loaded with lefties. So I like the Nats to get to Severino, and the Mets bullpen, by the way, even if Severino throws a good game, which maybe he does, I don't think he's going to, but maybe he does, the Mets bullpen is a disaster. They were up 6-0 last night. They still had to use Garrett and Diaz because they almost messed it up. They still had to use
and
those
Nunez.
Runs. Yeah, and Nunez.
Made Nunez 3 of the last 4. I know it's only 8, but that's still 3 of the last 4 days.
Right. So the Mets, they will find a way to give you some runs at the end of the game, even if they're up 7-0. Like, they'll find a way to give you a few. So even if I'm completely wrong about the Nats getting to Severino, I'm still live with this bet in the late. So Nats team total over 3.5. I'm on it.
I'll just jump because I always hate going in front of Greg because I feel like if you have something to say, I don't want to take it. But I'm on the same bet as Kyle. Very close. I'm on the over. I played over 9. It's at 9.5 now. First and foremost, the weather. Again, it's one of those major things I pay attention to. A lot of people do. The weather's just fantastic right now. Another game in Citi Field where the weather's going to be close to 80 degrees with the winds blowing out. It's a hitter's dream. Corbin's been hit hard by the Mets the last 3 times he's seen them. I don't care if it's at home or on the road. He's been really bad. And Kyle started to talk about Severino starting to look good. Over his last 7 starts, the only times that he looked good was on the road at Washington, where he went 8 innings, which they're going to see him in now again, and then on the road or at home against Miami. Everything else, I guess the Cubs start was pretty decent too. But Arizona, Texas, Houston, Pittsburgh, it's all been pretty bad. And Kyle mentioned the Nats getting to righty starters. Not only are they getting just like scoring runs, but they're also getting a lot of hits. You can even go back to the Savali start where they only got 2 runs off of 6 or 7 hits. So if they're continuing to get hits like that and stealing bags and stuff like that, I think we're going to see a whole bunch of runs here today. So like I said, I played over 9. It's at 9.5 now. I'd still play it at 9.5. I think that we see a ton of runs today with this weather.
There's a few books that have the Mets run line at plus money. Most notably, Bet365 has it at plus 105. Kind of everything about this game, I think, is more in favor of the Mets. And I do agree with what Kyle said as well. Like, I don't think that Severino is going to pitch as well going forward as he did earlier in the year, especially because he's pitching more to contact this year. That's just going to be a little bit problematic for him as the weather gets warmer. With that said, though, Patrick Corbin sucks. The only reason Patrick Corbin is holding a roster spot at all is because he got overpaid by the Nationals like 6 years ago, and they just can't recognize it as a sunk cost. So they just throw him out there to get his ass kicked every 5 days. He has an expected ERA north of 6, 3 years in a row now. And like, it's not like the actual numbers are any good either. He's got a 5.49 ERA this year, a 6.25 expected ERA. So Severino, well, I don't think he's going to be a world beater going forward. I think he's going to be better than Patrick Corbin. I think the Mets have a better offense than the Nationals do. And the Mets are plus money on the run line. So that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I'm on the Nats team total over and not the Nats money line here because Corbin, I believe he's made 9 starts against the Mets as a member of Washington, and he's got a 6.77 ERA, I believe, something along those lines. So the Mets always seem to get to him. So as much as I think Severino's going to get hit up, then the Mets could put up a huge number. So yeah, I honestly think all 3 of us could cash these bets here with a 8-5 final score Mets. All right, let's move on to the next one. Rockies at Reds, another game where I was so blatantly incorrect yesterday. I had the under, thought it was a good bet. I want to take the under again. I didn't. Here's the thing. And look, by no means am I trying to make an excuse. I placed the bet. I knew who the pitcher was. I placed the bet. But when I first did my notes on, so today's Wednesday, last night was Tuesday. When I first did my notes for Tuesday night's game on Monday night, I wrote down the under for this one because I thought Frankie Montas was pitching last night. What happened was I found out the next morning it was Lodolo, and I hadn't placed it yet, but I was like, you know what? I still like the bet, and I placed the under. Granted, I probably would have still liked the under anyway with Lodolo. So I'm not saying I placed the bet knowing it was Lodolo, but my original lean for the game was that Frankie Montas would pitch well. So I'm sticking with that. It'd be under. I didn't place it yet because, I mean, it wasn't even close. And also, do you want to know another reason why I'm staying off? You see the score last night's game, 12-6 Reds. So like, oh, Reds won via blowout. That's not really how it went down. It was 7-6. The Reds had to use a few of their high leverage bullpen arms. Cruz has now thrown 3 of the last 4. Nick Martinez has thrown 2 of the last 3. So this Reds bullpen, which has the huge advantage over Colorado's bullpen, a little bit taxed. So it would be under a pass, but it's just going to be a pass.
I'll go now, Toast, because I'm on the other side of that. I actually like the over here.
I'm on the over as well, so go ahead.
It has a lot to do with what you just mentioned, Kyle, the bullpens being taxed. Also, Kyle Freeland has been so, just blow-up proof this year. What happens if Freeland doesn't pitch well in the first couple innings? They have to go to the bullpen. What do they even go to? This could very easily turn into a position player on the mound sort of game for Colorado, because they had the rain delay yesterday. They got, 2 innings out of Cal Quantrill. They had to use Lambert for 4 innings. The Reds, like you mentioned, they had to use high leverage arms. So you got Kyle Freeland, who's got an ERA of nearly 7 this year. Frankie Montas does have a 4.19 ERA, but he's a 265 BABIP this year, so he's gotten really lucky. He's got a 4.72 FIP, a 4.82 expected ERA. Obviously, the concern here is that the Rockies' offense is miserable away from home, and you could easily see them getting shut out by anybody who throws with a right arm. But with that said, I think Frankie Montas is not all that great at this point in his career. I'm positive Kyle Freeland sucks, so I like the over.
Doug Lane said the reason last night the rain delay was the reason the bullpen had to be used early. I think Lodolo came back in after the rain delay, though, didn't he? Yeah, and it was that they blew the lead. The Reds were up big, and then the Rockies came all the way back, and they had to bring in, I think it was Cruz, when they were up 7-6. So, I'm sure the rain delay didn't help the situation at all, but it was because the Reds blew the lead that the manager was forced to bring in a couple arms they trusted. Yeah, Toast, you're on the over as well. You guys aren't worried. All right. So I didn't bet the under. So I'm not sitting here being like, you guys are going to lose. But you guys aren't worried about the fact that we're talking about a bottom 5 road lineup on the road against a bottom 5 home lineup at all? Because that's what I'm looking at.
To an extent, but at the same time, too, Kyle Freeland doesn't look like he belongs in the big leagues at all. Frankie Montas hasn't been a relevant big league pitcher in 3 years now. So the offenses are bad, but I don't even know if these pitchers are these pitchers might be quadruple A pitchers, guys who should be in between AAA and MLB.
I disagree about Montas, but Kyle Freeland, it's tough to argue with that.
Yeah, well, and also, believe it or not, Freeland has been much better at home than he has been on the road as well. He's almost been a nightmare on the road. He's been fantastic at home, which is really, really weird. And then Frankie Montas is another one of those guys where, I'm just not in a position where I think that especially after the Rockies, and everybody was thinking that he's going to pitch well because he faced the Rockies in Coors. He went 7 innings, only gave up a hit. I just don't think that's indicative of what Frankie Montas really is. I think that he got really lucky there. Not to mention, again, I know I've said this a lot today, but look at the weather, 75 degrees, 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing out in Great America Small Park. And then you guys touched on the bullpens as well. With the Rockies, I wanted to touch on because all their Beeks, Vonduct, and Kinley, which are their top 3 guys, are all available. They haven't worked, but it's not going to matter because I don't think you're going to get much out of Kyle Freeland. And as Greg started to allude to, Lawrence, Mears, and Lambert all went a ton last night, and they've worked a lot 2 of the last 3 days, which are all their middle guys. So when Kyle Freeland does come out of the game, I think that exposes a lot of issues for the Rockies in that bullpen. And then as Kyle touched on with the Reds bullpen, yes, Diaz didn't work last night, but Cruz went 3 of the last 4 nights. Lucas Sims went 15 yesterday. Nick Martinez has went 2 of the last 3 nights. He's one of their better middle relievers, and he's over 55 pitches. Suter went 21. Farmer went 26, and he's 2 of the last 3 days as well. So unless Frankie Montas gives them length, I think we're going to have a whole bunch of nice shots at this against this Reds bullpen. So I think there's a reason it's at 9.5 or 9, whatever it is right now. And with that weather, it just sent me over the edge. So yeah, I like the over.
And Doug Lane, who's, by the way, he's our resident diehard Cincinnati Reds fan. So he said Lodolo did come back in after the delay, but he looked like crap right away. And that makes sense because it was 5-0. So he was pitching well. And then so he's saying the delay is what caused the bullpen use early because it messed with Lodolo's rhythm. I see what he's saying. Makes sense. Next game, please, Prop Beaver. Miami at Houston. I have nothing to say. So if someone wants to take the mic, I got nothing. I have no idea.
Shout out Trevor Rogers. That masterclass last night, it was beautiful to watch. That said,
this is where I laughed at you, right?
Yeah. That said, Astros -1.5 for me at -110. I think it's essentially even money. I think this is a spot where I think Framber pitches well here. He hasn't, over his last 7 starts, only 2 starts at home. Both of those teams are again playoff teams, or most likely playoff teams in Minnesota and Baltimore. 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run against Baltimore. 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 run against Minnesota. I think that Framber pitches well at home here today against this Miami team. That is, let me get the right number, 5-26 when they face a left-handed starter on the year. And not to mention the fact, Framber Valdez, not very good numbers against this Miami offense. He's faced them twice in the last 2 years and lost each game. I think that he probably has that remembered, probably has this one circled a little bit. I think Framber shoves. I think Houston comes back from that sleepy spot yesterday and wins this one pretty easily.
Yeah, nothing here for me. It's a pass. Kyle, I can't hear your audio. I have no clue why. So just kick it to Toast after you're done, and then he can kick it to me after, because I have no clue what you're saying.
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, wow. All right. Well, you know what? Let me just leave and come back in.
He's going to leave and come back in, Greg.
Oh, okay. Oh, so this is not just a me issue?
I don't know if it's just you. The software that he was talking about, like pre-show, like sometimes like the audio just like stops. I don't know.
Yeah, I could hear you now.
There you go. See how fast it is? I'll leave and come back.
Well, good. That's an upgrade for you. Oh, the inner workings of the settings on screen.
Oh, yeah. He's gone for me. Is he gone for you?
Yeah, I could still see him moving around his mouse, though.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see he's trying to click stuff. He's working hard. He's doing his best, but he's in the abyss.
Can you hear him now?
Me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, we're good.
I told you, this OBS Ninja, it's terrible. All right. So we're back. Yeah, I heard you say that you didn't like this game either, Greg, right?
Correct.
All right. So, I mean, I guess I would lean towards over, because Framber Valdez, I mean, as of a month ago, he didn't have the best numbers at home in Houston, but I have no interest in touching this game. So let's move on to the next one. Pirates at Brew Crew. I bet the over in this one. Over 8.5, and it's pretty simple. I mean, Martin Perez has some awful looking numbers. I believe he has an even 12 ERA in his last 2 starts against Milwaukee. Don't necessarily love this Brewers lineup against a lefty, but I have no faith in Martin Perez at all. We just talked about Patrick Corbin. I think this guy is on a lower level than Corbin. I am not a Martin Perez guy in the slightest. And I actually think there's also a couple angles for the Pirates to get to Tobias Myers here. He struggles. He's got ugly looking splits against lefty bats. Worse than you would think, because Tobias Myers is having a good season, but he's got a 332 WOBA and a 147 whip against lefties. Pirates got those 3 lefties right smack in the middle of the lineup, all in a row. Reynolds, Cruz, Tellez, 2, 3, 4 in the lineup. That's definitely a little bit dangerous for Tobias Myers. Also, that streak of like Pittsburgh can't win on the road in Milwaukee. There was like a 4-year span where they were like 9-30 in this ballpark. I believe they won 3 of the last 5 here and 4 of the last 6 or something. So I think that's over. The curse of the Pirates can't win in Milwaukee. I believe they're above 500 in their last 6 or 7 games here. So that's over. What's that, Toad?
I was just going to say, I know this year and last year, it's Milwaukee has won 12 games and Pittsburgh has won 9 games.
No, but I mean in Milwaukee.
No, I know. I was just
because that was like a thing where the Pirates never win in Milwaukee. That was a thing for a few years. That's over now. They've won a few games here, and I believe they're 3-2 in their last 5 here.
Isn't it a thing though where the Pirates don't win anywhere? They don't win in Milwaukee. They don't win in Pittsburgh. They don't win in New York. Like, pick a city, throw a dart at a map. They don't win there.
No.
They don't win anywhere. Yeah. But so Tobias Myers struggles against lefty bats. Pirates got those 3 lefties, also 5 lefties total in the lineup. Also, very reliant on the 4-seam fastball. The Pirates are actually 6th in baseball in runs above average against the 4-seam fastball in the last 30 days. Last 14 days, Pirates are a top 5 lineup against righties, but those numbers are going to be heavily skewed to the 14-16 run game against the Mets bullpen. So the numbers are going to be skewed a bit in that respect. But as a whole, the Pirates have done a better job getting to righty starters. They got to Colin Ray in a big way yesterday. They crushed Severino a few days back. This Pirates lineup is not a blind fade to me right now. So I think they get at least a couple off Tobias Myers. And in my opinion, that's all I'm going to need because the Brewers should put up a nice looking number against Perez. So as far as a side, I'd love to sit here and tell you I have the backbone to take a shot with Pittsburgh moneyline, but I don't. I just played the over.
Greg?
Yeah, I have a prop bet on this game. I bet Martin Perez under 3.5 strikeouts at plus 128 this morning. I do have a little bit of line value on it. I think the line's around plus 110 now, which I still think is playable. Martin Perez has really dramatic splits this year. I mean, he's never been a high strikeout guy, but especially at this point in his career, I think he's very reliant on getting some of those edge calls, which you're just more likely to get at home than pitching on the road. So as a result, you look at his numbers this year, away from home, 5.95 FIP, 5.12 xFIP, but for the purposes of this, he only has a 14.7% strikeout rate this year on the road. He's not able to generate swing and misses. He's not getting calls on the black when he's pitching away from home. So I know it's a really low number, but I'm getting big plus money on it. So I bet Martin Perez under 3.5 Ks.
Any fade of Martin Perez is something I could stamp my approval on. So I'm with it. Toast, what do you think about my over here?
It's the only way I would look at it. When these two teams play, I think 6 of the last 10 times these two teams played, it's been over 10 runs or something like that. So, usually runs come. So it's over a pass for me. It's the Brewers at home. But obviously last night was a completely different story. I have a hard time believing that they probably lose 2 in a row, but at the same time, Pittsburgh's bullpen is rested and ready to go as well. It's over a pass for me.
Yeah, I think that Brewers at home thing is kind of over, though. I'm pretty sure that they have a negative ROI in the last 30 days at home or something. I was looking at something where they went 2 months into the season. They were one of the best home teams in baseball, but that hasn't been the case. I think they're even a bottom 10 lineup at home in the last 30 days, which is just weird. But let's go on to the next one.
Yeah, they've been winning a lot, though, at home.
They're still winning games, so maybe it's not maybe I was looking at their hitting numbers and not the ROI. Then I might.
Yeah, they're winning like 3-1, 4-2, 6-1. Yeah.
Not good for the over.
That was way different, though. That's different teams.
I wish. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I wish because I would have been holding 10 cents of value, and who cares? Kind of. I mean, but I wanted to take the Angels last night at plus 125. I talked about it. It's kind of tough to really make a case for it. The Rangers bullpen is really taxed. They use their 3 main guys. Well, I shouldn't say really taxed. They're going to be missing 2 key arms probably. Also, Kirby Yates threw 18 pitches last night, so they just saw him. Michael Lorenzen struggles against righty bats, and the Angels are loaded. They're going to, I think, 7 righties in the lineup. The problem is the Angels just aren't really hitting. I didn't bet it. It's not anything strong, but I would like to take a shot with the Angels here is what I want to do. So you can put Angels money line up for me. And I probably should have bet it last night at plus 125 when I was making that video, because now our graphic says plus 110. So this is another one where I missed out on some value. Who knows if that would have resulted in a win or not, though. It's Angels or pass for me.
It would be Angels team total over 4.5 or pass for me. I don't really want to trust the Angels to win a game, but I played Texas last night, felt stupid about it. Obviously, it didn't work out as well. I played minus 1.5, so I'm not laying juice with that team like that. But the Angels at home have been scoring runs for me. They've been continuing to do that. So I would play Angels team total over 4.5. I didn't bet this game, though.
Yeah, and that's true. The Angels on the season early in the year were terrible at home, but actually they've been much better at home, especially offensively recently. So I can get with that. Greg?
This is a pass for me. Yeah, nothing that stands out. I think this is a pretty ugly game. Ugly pitchers, and I don't really love either of these teams this year either.
Yeah, can't argue with you there. Next game, please. Atlanta, Arizona. I'm
shout out Atlanta, though, last night.
And I didn't tell. I could have used that win, too, last night. And I said on the show, I was like, I like your Braves bet. I'm down to do it, and I didn't actually do it.
I can't tell you. I can count on the times on my hand, the times that I've went on betting the Braves, full unit, minus 1.5, and they came through. So that felt really, really good for me.
Yeah,
they never do that.
Braves was the move last night. And, okay. So, at first glance, you might say, what's up with the price? But if you really look at it, I mean, Arizona's been much better against righty starters than the Braves have. It's Charlie Morton on the road. So I kind of want to take the Snakes, but based on like maybe a Snake's first 5, but like with Slade Ciccone on the mound, that just sounds crazy. The problem is the bullpen discrepancy is huge here because the Braves bullpen has really performed well, and the Arizona bullpen has been a train wreck all season. So what a tough one to try to bet. Do you guys have anything here?
I'll just go because I was kind of in the same lines as you. I was thinking Arizona first 5 team total over 2.5 at a big plus price at plus 120. I haven't betted. I was kind of waiting to see what everybody else had to say. But I mean, Charlie Morton, hasn't really looked good at home or on the road. I mean, a good start in Pittsburgh, a good start against a dead Rays team at times, and a good start against Oakland. And besides that, Washington got him twice. The Yankees got him. San Francisco got him. I don't think it's crazy to think that Arizona gets to him today. Not to mention going back to 2023. I mean, he's been absolutely clobbered by this Arizona lineup. So I understand that I bet against Arizona yesterday because they were hitting against a lefty. Now against a righty, that a lot of these guys have decent hitting numbers. I mean, Christian Walker, 4 for 9 with a homer with a 1.5 OPS against him. A couple other guys was close to 700 OPSs against him. Gabriel Moreno, 2 for 6 with a double off of him. So a lot of these guys seeing Morton pretty well. Like you touched on, I wouldn't want to deal with the Braves in the bullpen because they have been actually pretty damn good this year, as you've mentioned a couple of times. So it would be Arizona first 5 team total over 2.5, just to focus on the bats and not really worry about Ciccone. But I don't even think that he's been terrible. I mean, he had that blow up in Arizona and then that blow up against the Padres. But besides that, he doesn't go deep, but he's not terrible. The issue is he doesn't go deep, and that Arizona bullpen's been trash.
Yeah, I disagree with I'm not a Slade Ciccone guy. I'm
not a guy either. I'm just saying that he hasn't been absolutely terrible.
Greg, are you a Slade Ciccone guy?
I don't know that anybody's a Slade Ciccone guy. I will say that I'll back up what Toe said in terms of he does have a 6.1 ERA, but I think a lot of it's just been an unlucky strand rate. He's a 62.5% strand rate. If you look at all his minor league numbers, he always had a strand rate somewhere around the mid 70% range. So he probably should have an ERA like in the mid 4s as opposed to the 6 range. With that said, I don't want to bet on him. Charlie Morton is in his 40s now. It kind of looks like the wheels are starting to fall off. The velocity's down. His swinging strike rate is down. So if I had to back a side, it would probably be the Braves, but it's nothing for me.
Yeah, I think that first 5 team total over for Arizona, I guess I see it. I mean,
can I add just one more thing really quickly? I know I'm like the resident Braves hater, but if you didn't want to just back Arizona and you wanted to play on the Braves, I mean, their bats are slowly maybe starting to heat up. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. The last 5 games, they've scored 5 runs or more. Again, I'm not looking at splits and stuff like that. And that's what I'm saying. If you wanted to play first 5 over, I wouldn't hate that.
No, full game over. I'm not playing a total in this ballpark.
I know, but if you say full game over, it's in Arizona. I don't want to deal with anything of that voodoo.
Give me the over, prop Ever. Curse dies today. All right, let's go to the next one. Greg goes, I don't think anybody's a Slade Ciccone guy. Like,
yeah, that was a good one.
Even his mom shows up to the ballpark wearing a Corbin Carroll jersey. So we got Toronto and San Francisco.
Sorry, honey, they don't sell your jersey at the store.
All right. Blue Jays on the road in San Francisco. Hey, shout out Giants coming back, getting the win, getting me a push on my over 7. Yes. I got an over 7 that was juiced to minus 130. Pushed it. Only bet I didn't lose last night.
Felt real good.
It was like that's a good one.
Felt real good to me too.
It was good to see one go through the net.
I lost the first 5 too because I split my bet, so it felt really good to get some of my money back. It's like surrendering in blackjack.
That being said, as far as betting this game, I like the Giants. I won't pay this price. You can put a Giants money line bet up. I think this is a Giant spot. I mean, the Giants have been getting to righty starters. About a month ago, it was, hey, you could trust the Giants against lefties, but not against righties. It's like flip now. I trust this Giants lineup to get to Chris Bassett, who I know has been so dominant on the road. I know that sounds crazy, but he does have shaky splits against, lefty bats. I should have pulled it up in front of me. There was something I liked here. For the Giants against Chris Bassett.
Bassett, terrible numbers against lefties. 342 WOBAs, 4.85 xFIP. It's been really bad.
Oh, yeah, 342 WOBA, 159 whip against lefties. So I don't like that. In the Giants, like I said, Giants are beginning to righty starters. Giants have, you would think the Giants got the win last night, so they probably used some high leverage bullpen arms, but no. Actually, the bullpens, the Blue Jays used Richards because the Toronto blew a lead. So Giants saved all of their main bullpen arms. It would be, nothing on paper indicates that Toronto should be able to get to Logan Webb. It would be Giants here, but minus 155, just no way.
Greg?
There are better lines available than the minus 155. Let me see. What's maybe not anymore. It was closer to a pick 'em at some spots earlier. But yeah, now that the Giants have swollen to be a bigger favorite, I didn't really understand when the line was closer to a pick 'em. I still do favor the Giant side. Like you said, one is minus 155. It's not too wide. And I mean, Logan Webb, I think, is a much better pitcher than Chris Bassett. Bassett also now 35 years old. He's seen a little bit of a decreased velocity, 92.8 this year compared to 93.6 for his fastball for his career. And I mean, Logan Webb's just been a staple of being like a fringe Cy Young candidate now for, 4 or 5 years, something like that. So Giants also at home. I think they've got the starting pitching advantage. Offense, yeah, that leans a little bit more towards the Toronto Blue Jays. But yeah, I'm going to back Logan Webb and the Giants here.
Cool. Yeah, and I'd be down to play a minus 155 favorite. I'm not opposed to that. It's just it's hard to lay minus 155 when I'm looking at Chris Bassett's numbers on the road. I mean, his last 4 road starts, he's got like an 0.90 ERA or something. So that's what's keeping me off. But I agree, it's got to be Giants surpass here. Toast.
Yeah, it would be Giants minus 1.5 at a huge plus price. I might end up playing it later if I have somewhat of a decent day. But this Giants, I keep on trying to tell you guys, this Giants team at home is just something different. Like they're 26-19, but I think like 7 or 8 of those losses are against the Dodgers and the Yankees or something like that. So this team, when they're playing mediocre competition at home, they're winning. The only thing that like kind of threw me back is that Logan Webb had a terrible start. It was on the road last year in Toronto where he went up 5 innings, gave up 8 hits and 5 runs. So that kind of held me off of just like slamming the Giants, not to mention that price didn't help. But I think Kyle mentioned it with the splits with Bassett and the lefties, not to mention the fact that you have a huge bullpen edge with San Francisco. I understand that both bullpens have been bad generally, but with a rested bullpen at home, I think Giants minus 1.5. And over their last 10 wins, I think like 6 or 7 of the Giants wins have been by 2 runs or more. So I'd be comfortable with a huge plus price laying minus 1.5.
Yeah, I don't hate that. All right. That was the last game, right? Shall we do hit him with the community parlay song?
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We community, making a parlay. Yeah.
All right, community. Put the community parlay up on the screen. What ruined it yesterday? I'm sure someone in the comments will be able to tell us. Guys, what ruined the community parlay yesterday? Orioles. Oh, Orioles. That'll do it. All right. So, Prop, are you ready for the poll? Prop Beaver just called you a goober, Toast.
It's because I backed out. Now he has to do the work to put me back in. I deserve it.
Are you offended by the term goober?
No, I deserve that.
All right, you ready, Prop Beaver? They voted for the Orioles. They voted for the Guardians. They probably voted for the Padres, I'm guessing. Yeah. Yankees, Rays. That was pretty split even. Put the Rays because I think the Rays won the poll, but a lot of people voted the Yankees in that one. To my surprise, people liking the Yankees. All right, so go ahead and cast your votes, and while they're casting, Greg, you want to tell the nice people where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, go follow me on Twitter at GEhrenbergDFS. Like Kyle said, I did have a nice golf hit over the weekend, 50K over on DraftKings. So running a sale over at Stochastic. You can sign up for any package on our site for any sport or bundle package and get 25% off with the promo code Greg. And then just other content that I put out on my Twitter, B+ jokes. We got it all covered there.
My son loved a post of yours, the one with Ben Simmons where you're showing all the trick shots and then he just shot the wide open 3. And my son thought that was like the funniest thing in the world.
I miss when you used to do dunce of the day, man. Do you not do those anymore?
I could bring it back. I get tired of bits sometimes, and it's once people start to request stuff, I feel like, oh no, this is expected of me, and then I feel like it's too familiar.
Yeah.
But it's whatever. It's like an insecurity thing. I do like it though.
For those of you that don't know what that is, that haven't been weren't following Greg a year ago, so he used to take like the dumbest sports betting comment he found of the day. And if those of you that watch content on YouTube or on betting Twitter know that there's a plethora of them to choose from. And he would usually, like, some of them would be like someone claiming something's rigged in like or like someone claimed a player the game was rigged because like Blake Griffin didn't go over 6.5 points or something like so ridiculous. Oh, some funny shit, man.
It's easier to do during basketball and football. Just not enough people care about baseball to where, like, you don't see people claiming baseball games rigged as much on Twitter or anything like that. But basketball, once you see somebody get hurt like a few minutes into a game, then you get just 50 IQ people showing up in the comment section of Underdog and stuff like that. It'll probably be back for basketball.
Yeah, and I agree that as for the most part right now, you're going to get more experienced gamblers. Obviously, that's not universal, but the casual gamblers are usually more. They come out to play during football and remain through basketball. But this time of the year, it's more the experienced. All right, so next up, Dodgers, Phillies. Definitely Phillies they voted for. Definitely Red Sox against Oakland. Definitely Mets against the Nats. And Reds, money line. So 4 favorites in that one. And yes, someone was asking about his $50,000 win. So DFS is the same as the way we do it. He's got a tracked ROI. Like, it's the same type of thing. Yes, sometimes the hits are fewer and far between because they're so big, but it's the same thing. He's looking to turn a profit over time. So it's the same type of deal. ROI tracked the same exact way. So it's not like a lottery pick or anything. They literally calculated out saying this should win X amount of times over X amount of days. It's really interesting.
I also want to point out he's not the one that mentioned he won 50K. It was us. So it's not like he's like,
yeah, he didn't even tell me about that. I heard it from someone else. Yeah. Who did I? Oh, I think Lindy was the one that brought it up to me when I was texting him or something. Phillies money line. All right.
Chicago's back down to that 145-ish range. So, all right.
Royals, Cardinals. Oh, no, that's doubleheader. Screw that. Astros money line. Brewers money line.
I will say I'm very curious to see how Pablo Lopez looks in game 2.
Rangers. And did they vote Braves or D? Let's scroll up. Did they vote Braves or D-backs in that? I got the poll right here. They vote Braves. All right, cast your votes. I think Braves is going to win. Maybe not. No, it looks like Houston by a mile, fading Brian Honig. All right, Astros is the third leg. Fourth leg will be. So it's just Giants, and then we'll throw some second places in there. So Red Sox got second place. So Giants put it on there first. Then Red Sox. Yep, Guardians and Blue Jays. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Just do those 3. Giants, Red Sox, Guardians. Damn, All-Star break coming up. I need it too. Could use a night, man. Mm-hmm. And I have my college football sheet probably 60% of the way done, and obviously I'm so excited. I want to work on it, but I just can't. I don't have the time getting the videos out. I don't have the time, so I'm really excited to have a day where I could sit in the afternoon, put on some music and be like, I'm doing my college football sheet.
That's how I am for NFL, because I know I'm not going to be worrying about college football, but I know that NFL, so I want to be ready.
Yeah, but you do it when you're doing the baseball slate every day. You
can't have time.
Yeah,
no, I don't have time. I'm so and plus me with the baseball, I like all that stuff that you hate, like parents phone calls and all that stuff. So I'm wasting.
Yeah, how did that work out for you? The parents phone call.
It was fantastic. It was
Right,
fantastic.
right? Toast said he took the Padres. He was fading Logan Gilbert, fading him because he called his parents after making the All-Star team and he's too emotional. He said that, and he with a straight face. He said,
I was serious. I mean, I had multiple other reasons, but it's
that's all I heard.
and then that's fine. That's okay. They had been destroyed his pitch mix. The other teams that had destroyed his pitch mix, especially on the road, had destroyed him, like the Yankees, Astros, and Milwaukee. So there was reasons. I put my foot in my mouth. I'll live to see another day.
Maybe he was emotional, but it was good for him. Maybe it amped him up.
All that does is tell me that Castillo won't be starting game 1 in the playoffs if he starts.
That doesn't tell you that. They'll go with experience, bro. Anyway, if you need to parlay, Orioles money line, Phillies money line, Astros money line, Giants money line. Do we have an underdog pick real quick? Throw it on the screen and let's get out of here. So let's see what prop beaver cooked up for us. So we got today, Corbin Burns lowering 35.5 fantasy points. Love it.
Love it.
Zach Eflin lower than 2.5 earned runs. Love it. Kyle Freeland higher than 16.5 outs. You are a madman. Love it. Today's free leg is Shohei Ohtani over a half plate appearance. So if you don't have an underdog fantasy account and you're located in one of these states here highlighted in yellow, head over to the website or download the app Underdog Fantasy. When you make your account, make sure to use the promo code BET. That'll get you a $100 deposit bonus match, and you get to use that Shohei Ohtani over a half plate appearance in your first pick. Everyone, thanks for watching. Greg, thanks for joining. Let's have ourselves a nice Wednesday night. Remember to bet responsibly, and I don't know what the schedule is for tomorrow. Got to look at the schedule. Usually Commish comes on, but I'll let you know. I'll post it up and all that. Later, guys.